he basically said that he is still in touch with his family back in Tibet via WeChat. And sometimes it shouldn't be say that loud from me, but sometimes that among Tibetans, for example, if your parents say that the weather is not good, it implies something, not only the climate weather, but also maybe political situation. And are you still in touch with your family? On if yes, how do you interact with them?
Yeah, I was in contact with my dad in Tibet before. So I don't have much of a big family, but only my dad was there. So I had been in contact with him, but only to talk whether he is fine or not. So not more than that. So we usually don't tell that we are here in India. I went there, go there, did this and that. I don't usually tell that because due to political reasons, all those conversation are tapped. So might be in trouble in any time. So yeah, I'd been in contact, but very rarely. We don't usually. Those calls or conversation coming from India more like they take more precaution because in India is the hotspot of due to His Holiness Dalai Lama's residence here in India. It's kind of hard. In early days, only few of the Tibetan journalists used to write about the situation in Tibet. Nowadays, it's due to like all the connections we have, all the new medias or personal media, social networks. So we get to hear more from Tibet, and also the Chinese government. They have to speak out to the world, even if it's a lie or something. They have to tell, right? So we get to hear more, and I do more pay attention to the news coming from Tibet, and I think most of my generation they do, and elder people no doubt they do, and they take a lot of attention. Yeah. So my stand is that the situation here in Tibet is tough, very tough at times. Only if you are involved. Sorry, a lot of dogs.
Okay.
So only if you are involved politically, and in some way or other, if you are not able to speak what you wanted to, want to discuss with your friend or your family, then your freedom is unintentionally suppressed, right? So in accumulation with little separation, you feel little kind of freedom you lack. That feeling accumulated, and then there are a lot of protests coming out from Tibet. It's because it's not that in a day you feel like you want to protest and you go outside. No, because in all those separation, a little bit of systematic separation, they say, right? So when someone come to Tibet and see what's going on inside, they feel like, oh, nothing is here. Everyone is doing what they want, whatever they want, right? But in reality, a systematic separation was there. So that's how people get frustrated. People wanted to think that we need freedom. Even if they want to rule Tibet, it's okay. But Tibetans should get freedom to do what they want. Politically, if they want any of the Tibetan areas, they can take it. But in those who living in Tibet, those Tibetans need to have a freedom to expression, freedom to religion, and everything they wanted to do, right? So in that way, I feel that that Tibetan kind of morality, Tibetan kind of Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist thinking, that might really help the Chinese people who are in neighboring countries, right? And Chinese people, a lot of the whole half the population of the world, the biggest population is China. So if we get to help them, and they get to help us economically, so we are win-win situation, right?
Okay.
Yes, in the Tibetan government, they have environmental checks. who emphasize usually on the construction of dams and the rivers. So that's a kind of topic that Indian needs to understand, right? So, and there are other NGOs who very much insist, very much work on to putting awareness on the major rivers of Tibet. But I don't feel like people, either the people authorities, they understand and don't want to interfere, because they are also constructing dams all over India, in the major highland of India, which they are not usually advised to environmentally. Due to profit reason, they do construct all those dams. Now, unless and until a major kind of problem, reoccurring problem, like everyday floods and kind of like in a yearly seasonally flood kind of situation comes, then only they will raise voice. Other than that, I don't think so, because the way China work is very kind of, what you say, very cunning, or like kind of, you say, systematic. It's really systematic. Usually most of the nations in India also, they don't think like 50 years later, like 100 years later. The China, they only think of what will happen after 10 years, after 20 years, after 50 years. They have that kind of plan, right? So the river had been a major planning of the Chinese government. They have rerouted many of the major rivers inside China. They have put up pipelines to drain the waters into mainland China, because mainland China is usually a dry place, right? So they have to feed all those Chinese people, and then the construction of dams will eventually hurt the local areas. And there are a lot of news from Tibet where mining take place, where dam is constructed, and then whole you have, I think you might have seen all the Tibetan villages or towns are usually happen in a valley of different mountains, right? In a valley, the towns get settled. So construction of dams, when they fell or when they have heavy rainfall, they have to release all the water, right? So we are not discussing about the biodiversity they are hurting, the natural environment they are hurting. The only the disasters we are mentioning, like flood and all, it's very common. All the town get washed away in few days, like. So it's usually now. In earlier days, a few days earlier in Nepal, earthquake happened, right? In China, a lot of earthquake happens. Why? Because they are constructing, they are rerouting the rivers, everything turning around, because they consider Tibet as a free natural resources area. So in economically, if you discuss, you have cheap Chinese batteries, all the major smartphone batteries coming from China, right? All the speakers you have, very big speakers, or those sound systems, or those copper wired, cheap, high quality products coming out from China. Why? It's all free in Tibet. You get a whole bunch of lead, whole bunch of copper ores out there.
Exactly.
So they have taken that kind of opportunistic way to slowly control economically, slowly control the water, slowly control the neighboring areas in a soft power, not the hard power. It's not the hard power is no more working in this generation. Even if they put up nuclear weapons and all, no one will fight. There is a guarantee that no nation will fight each other. The only power they is to showcase those powers and then use the soft powers to control all the areas. Now they are controlling all the areas around Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and India. They are now oppressing. So it's a way of their life.